Welcome to The Brief. In 2015, when GST was implemented, it was heralded as the most significant amendment in India's taxation system. But as with most policy rollout and implementation, there were a number of teething issues that the new tax law brought in with it, and consequently, a number of businesses had to bear the brunt of the newly enforced tax law. While it is understandable that given the size and complexity of India as a tax jurisdiction, there were bound to be issues in rolling out the new GST, not enough was done to understand and help the businesses that became casualties of the poorly executed implementation. Since then, there have been numerous amendments, revisions, and rollbacks as the authorities continue struggling to find a better solution. And the solar energy sector has been no exception to these issues. The introduction of GST resulted in many complications and litigations for the solar sector, and a lot of it stemmed from a poor understanding of the industry. This lack of clarity continues to trouble companies operating in this space, and industry bodies such as NSEFI take up the mandate of battling the authorities and policymakers to find a workable solution. We spoke to the Federation's CEO, Subrahmanyam Pulipaka, to get his thoughts and deeper insight into the issue of GST that is blockading the growth of the sector.
It's the most painful issue today. Before GST, things were simple. First of all, solar was exempted from tax. After that, when we were taxed, it was 5% flat. Then when GST came, they started bifurcating the services and the materials part. According to them, 70% of a solar plant construction is on the material part, the cost, and the 30% is services part. So they bill 70% they tax 70% at 5% and 30% at 18%. That is their rationale. Okay, let us see. So now we have submitted 10 representations, giving them proof that bill of materials is at least 90. At least. It is never below 90. It is always more than 90. And the services part is maximum 10. That means your 90% should be taxed at 5 and 10% at 18%. Cumulatively, that will also come somewhere around 7.9%. It is still high. Now, the biggest dilemma in the industry today, which no one openly talks, is there are 4 variants of GST running. If an EPC doesn't have module procurement in its ambit, they have to just go install and commission. They have 4 choices of billing their GST. They have this 18%, they have the 5%, they have 8.9%, and they have another somewhere around 11.9%. So this confusion, and it is ambiguous. It is up to my interpretation. I can interpret it in whatever way I want. This has caused so many problems to members, and it affected MSMEs a lot. How it affected utility, I'll tell you. But MSMEs, who are these EPC owners and all, they are stuck. So let's say they are billing it at 8.9. Tomorrow someone says no, it's 18. That do. So we have asked for clarity there. Our suggestion is, see, either you make it 90-10 and give a clarity on what happens when modules are not in. We just want one line from them. We are not asking much. For asking much, we said remove everything and let it be 5%. Simple. You will make our lives easier, your lives easier. That is one thing. Second, today everyone talks about change and change. And the only industry that doesn't like change is solar industry. I'll tell you. There is something called change in law, and that is a change we don't like, because there is a tender that has been tendered out. While you are in the phase of installing or commissioning, a new regulation comes. So when you are affected by the regulation, you can claim the amount for which the regulation impacted on your financials. This happened with 2 things: on safeguard duty, on GST. So there were plants that got tendered, awarded before safeguard duty was announced, and during the process, safeguard duty is announced, it's applicable. You can claim for it. Same thing with GST. And this change in law claim has taken a big toll on our members. Thousands of crores they should get from GST. Safeguard duty I'm not touching. So GST change in law has been a big issue and a big pain for the industry. So there are simply 2 things they can do. One, we have requested pass through. You just pass through, that just let it go. Exempt this industry, give a pass through, so that we don't need to claim for change in law. Or when we are claiming change in law, then get us things faster. So that is something that we are trying to do. And parliamentary committee also said that GST is the most pressing issue and you have to give clarity.